Okay, so in 2016, Trump gets elected. Did you actually vote for Trump?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you became a hardcore Trump supporter at that point?
No,
Okay,
I watched him very, very closely and very skeptically. But there's no way in hell I'm voting for Hillary Clinton.
okay. All right, so at what point did the whole QAnon thing happen with you?
Well, Q started, I believe, on October 28, 2017. And I had been following quite closely the email leaks from John Podesta and Hillary Clinton that were on WikiLeaks. I had written a book around the time that Q had gone public, basically. It was called One Mind at a Time, A Deep State of Illusion. I finished that in 2017. I didn't publish it until 2020 once I saw everything that was going on. You can get it on Amazon. It's only 150 pages. It's only $9.99. I don't make very much money on it. What matters to me is the message gets out there more than anything. But I watched Q and Trump very closely for years before I made my mind up.
Okay, and at one point you actually started attending rallies and so forth in support of QAnon, right?
Well, yes and no. I had been going down to the Arizona State Capitol for years in this regalia and protesting on my own, by myself, singing my shamanic song, banging on my drum down at the Arizona State Capitol for many years before anything Q-related or Trump-related became even a thought. So I've been somewhat politically active on my own for years prior to 2020, when I got really active nationally and behind Trump and bringing the sign Q sent me.
Right, and what gave you the idea to wear the headdress and the horns and everything?
Well, I've been dressing this way for years. I've been dressing this way since I think 2012 is when I really started getting intense with it. It's a shamanic regalia that is quite common in the Hioka tradition as far as creating a shock to the system, a shock to the cognitive system. The Hioka shaman does things that some people would consider bizarre or backward, and this is done to shock the cognitive system of the tribe so that when the shaman is able to converse with the tribal members, then what ends up happening is they're able to plant seeds and help them to understand that their culturally programmed view of reality is not reality. So it's an ancient technique that I've been practicing for over 10 years.
Okay, well, in 2020, the election happens with Trump and Biden. And, Trump ends up losing the election, Biden wins the election, but you would actually protest outside, one of the buildings in Arizona where you basically declared the election has not been called. Don't believe that lie. They got their hands caught in the cookie jar and we're going to the Supreme Court. Trump always looks like he's going to lose and then he wins, right?
Yep.
Okay, why did you feel like the election was stolen at that point?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, if you look into American history and the history with our elections, JFK won the election in 1960 because his father had connections to the mob, the FBI, and the CIA. So our elections have been corrupt. All right. And every time the Democrats lose, what do? They scream election fraud. They scream it's rigged. They scream, oh, this is, election interference. Something needs to be done. These voting machines. I mean, there's literally so many videos of Democrats whining and crying about the voting machines after 2016. And what do the Republicans do when they lose elections? Oh, there's election fraud. This is all rigged. We need to do something different. These voting machines, blah, 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 blah. So it's clear to me that the centrist view is that the elections are corrupt, and they've been corrupt for decades. And if you think for 1 second that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama got less votes than Joe Biden while he campaigned in his basement and fumbled over his words for almost a year, if you expect me to believe that this lame duck candidate who, we don't even get into the election interference, the way the 51 intelligence agents said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation and all that stuff. And then the Zucker boxes, the mail-in ballots, ballot harvesting. It's the most unsecure election we've ever had in our nation's history. Mark Elias was going around the country changing the election laws in courts in all of these swing states. So, to me, it's well, if there's evidence of election corruption and what I call a selection process, not an election process, if there's evidence of a selection process and our elections are corrupted for decades, then why would 2020 be any different?